dude. Bingo bango. This is Ted Hicks from Late Night Parents. Ways to follow the show, latenightparents.com. Here tonight with two of my friends, Todd Bascom and the grand incredible Danny Thompson.
Oh, grand incredible! What is this? The Flintstones now?
Yeah, you know,
the great kazoo.
Yeah, the grand poobah. What about the grand poobah now?
On a much serious note, wanted to mention the mass shooting in Buffalo. Love and support goes out to them, and also the shootings in California and Houston, Texas. Not sure where our country is going. Yes, it's still the best country in the world, but stuff is getting scary. I guess I'll start off by saying, gentlemen, lunar eclipse. Did you partake in last night's lunar eclipse?
I mentioned it and fell asleep.
Yeah, what time did it happen?
It happened around 10:30 Eastern time, and it went for about an hour.
I was dead by then.
It went for about an hour.
Yeah.
So, just wanted to mention the lunar eclipse. But we didn't come here to talk about lunar eclipse. Came here to talk a couple of topics. We're going to talk top 4 sports, and we'll go down the aisle by saying we'll start off with NBA. We saw a couple of game 7s. We saw a couple of blowouts. This playoffs has been up and down. We'll get to that. Danny, I want to ask you first question. Which coach do you believe could get traded to the Los Angeles Lakers?
Traded.
I don't think any coach is traded to the Lakers. They have no compensation to give up in return. But
listen, we got Doc Rivers, Nate McMillan. Pick your favorite coach. Dust off Mark Jackson for the umpteenth time. It could be anyone. It could be what was the old Brooklyn Nets coach before?
Atkinson. I thought Atkinson was interviewing with the Lakers. Is that
he interviewed last week actually?
Okay.
Doc Rivers has already been told by Daryl Morey he's not going anywhere. He's going to go back to coaching in Philadelphia next season. That cancels one of your options. Nate McMillan and the Lakers are not even a real rumor. McMillan's going to get a chance to actually have a real roster that's going to be readjusted to him for next season. If anybody goes to LA and they're waiting on anybody, it's actually Quinn Snyder of Utah Jazz. They've been waiting on Snyder.
Or are they hoping for him to get fired?
Well, that's the question. No one knows Quinn Snyder's status. The last day of the season, he opted to have hip surgery on the day of media day. And then when they actually had a chance to do the exit interviews, he still was mum on his future, didn't say what was going on. Report says that he's going to be the one taking the fall in the whole Jazz, potentially sending Donovan Mitchell to the Knicks or Rudy Gobert being walked out the door in Utah. But if it's not any of those coaches, I don't expect Mark Jackson to get a head coaching job once again.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Go ahead.
Because I'm not real in the know with this. So what's going on with Mark Jackson? Why is he not? Is he that poisoned from the Golden State thing, or why is he not getting jobs?
Do we have enough time to discuss this on this podcast?
Well, I guess not.
I will put it like this: Mark Jackson has RICO charges. Mark Jackson has enough charges against him from the Golden State situation to basically say he's not getting a job. No, to be truthfully honest, Todd, try to give you a 90-second answer. There is so much with Mark Jackson, going back to comments about the LGBT community, even
penis grabbers.
Yeah, the penis grabber incident where he called Jared Collins and his former boss a penis grabber. Then there's the whole Steph Curry incident where he had a sprained ankle, and Mark Jackson, his wife, had him run around the church saying his ankle was healed. There was the back and forth to LA with the preaching on Sundays, leaving the team behind to go to LA to preach. The whole players going to church, no cursing in the locker rooms, assistant coaches basically being put on gag orders, not to speak to people. And then, there was a great statement from the Golden State, one of the Golden State principal owners, that you can have Mark Jackson can be loved by 15, but can't be hated by 200 people in the building. So Mark Jackson, I always say there's a better chance of Colin Kaepernick returning to the NFL before Mark Jackson gets a head coach.
Wow. And we know there's zero chance of that.
Zero chance.
I don't
so
think
basically, if you're Mark Jackson, enjoy yourself at ESPN, continue to get your contract renewed, and primarily announce games, non-national games.
How can he then how can he then if all of that was going on, he can't get a coaching job. How's he working at ESPN?
Because the one thing is that ESPN has him on camera, and he can't say what he wants to on camera. He just can't say. You just can't just start freestyling when he wants. The only way Mark Jackson sees a job, we saw Tim Hardaway go through this for years with his sentiments about speaking about people of the LGBT community. Tim Hardaway had to apologize, and he apologized. It took some years, and now he's in the Hall of Fame. Mark Jackson is going to have to do a lot of apologizing. There's only one man in the league that can get him a job. He failed once. It would have to take LeBron James to get him to just say, I need him. And for the Lakers to actually follow behind it, I can't see him anywhere else. Charlotte turned another page. You're looking at D'Antoni as the head coach for Frank Vogel. Otherwise, Mark Jackson will be right behind there making $10 million a year calling basketball games like he's been doing for the last, 6-7 years now?
Well, it's not bad work if you can get it.
No. $10 million to cover 30 games a year in the playoffs? Why not?
So let's talk about the conference finals. Do we really want to spend any time bashing Chris Paul and the Phoenix Suns? Because I think everyone in America has dragged him today on TV and on radio.
Beverly took care of that one.
I think Beverly was just full of hate.
Vitriol.
It's like going to your job. It's like having a coworker that you hated go on TV and talk about how you work.
Right.
The person that hated you at work the most. Of all the people ESPN could have got, they knew what they were doing. Pat Beverly is the last guy that you want giving opinions on Chris Paul, because I think their beef goes all the way back to high school.
Wow.
No, I mean Chris Paul deserves the beating he gets. It is what it is. They were abysmal in the last two games of that series.
Did you hear the report coming from Mark Spears that I think there was a quad injury with Chris Paul post game 2? Do we give anything to that? Because how do you go from being Chris Paul to being Chris Paul?
To being Jim Harden.
Chris Paul? No, I don't buy the injury. Listen, when they were up 3-2, no one said anything about a quad injury. No one said anything about Devin Booker being hurt, or DeAndre Ayton have a bad hand, or Cameron Payne having a bad back. No one said any of this when they were up 3-2. It's the simple fact that, truth be told, excuse my language, the Dallas Mavericks just kicked their ass the last 2 games of the series. It's real simple. It was one clean. It was a bad one in Dallas, but they got their asses kicked in Phoenix. There's no way a home team should be down 45 points in any game in the playoffs in Game 7. It's abysmal.
Who do we got for conference finals?
Ty, take that one.
Ooh, me? Conference finals?
Conference finals.
Man.
Heat Celtics.
Well, yeah, it's looking like Heat Celtics in the East.
Who's your choice? Who's your choice to come out of the East?
Man, I guess I got to go with the Celtics at this point.
I'm with you on that one.
I mean, yeah, I guess I wouldn't be shocked if the Heat win. I think it's that close, but I'm gonna go with the Celtics.
And GSW and Dallas in the West.
Seems to me we're gonna have a Golden State Celtics final.
Danny, what's your thoughts?
I mean, if ESPN has their hand in this, yeah, it's Golden State, Boston, because you can't get no bigger than Oakland and the San Francisco and the Boston market. No food reference, by the way. I actually think Miami's going to beat Boston.
Really? Okay.
I think if anybody relishes this moment more than anybody, is Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler wants to be the man to shut down Jason Tatum. So he is going to make his full-fledged 6 games of guarding Jason Tatum. He's going to guard him the entire series. And that's going to force Jaylen Brown to have to score a lot of points, even though Kyle Lowry will miss game 1. Lowry back at some point in time. Miami's going to have to find offense, and they're going to need Duncan Robinson. Robinson was basically missing in that Philadelphia series. They're going to need his three-point shooting. They have Strauss. They have Vincent. They have a multitude of shooters everywhere. I like Adebayo. Give me Miami in 6. I'm gonna put my flag on this. I'm taking the Heat in 6.
Okay. And GSW in Dallas.
Here's the thing: if Dallas wins, we're not going to hear. We're going to keep hearing the word Luka until literally, they're going to shove Luka down our throats
for the next 20 years.
They're already shoving him down our throats.
It's going to be more. Can you imagine him getting to the finals with that roster? I mean, they traded Porzingis for spare pieces at one point.
Right.
And so now he's taken to the finals. This is almost as, I would say, even Charles. I mean, the last time Charles Barkley, Phoenix, like type of carrying a team to the finals.
Right.
But if Golden State wins, that's going to put all the pressure on Steph Curry to win Finals MVP. He has to win the Finals MVP.
He has to.
Because if Jordan Poole or Klay Thompson or Andrew Wiggins or Draymond Green win Finals MVP and Curry doesn't and they win that championship, Steph Curry's legacy is completely damaged at this point. There's no coming back at this point.
Okay.
So I'm taking – I bet against Dallas the entire playoffs. And it's something about Luka Doncic I've seen since he was 16 years old about how special his kid is. I remember telling you about this. I'm taking a rematch of the finals, Miami-Dallas.
Okay.
And I got a feeling somehow that Dirk Nowitzki, the spirit of Dirk Nowitzki, will lie in Luka Doncic. And something tells me the Mavericks are about to take this championship under Jason Kidd. I just have a weird feeling about this. A weird one.
Question about new media. We see Draymond Green podcasting after every game. Is this the new norm? Where it's kind of like you control your own narrative?
I think so. I think the transition started with guys making their own company. You go back to Spring Hill with LeBron James. Now you have Kevin Durant with the boardroom, and then you have Players Tribune with Derek Jeter. Jeter started with Players Tribune, but now you're going. It goes into other things. I mean, being in locker rooms, players they like telling stories, but they hate the fact that some people, when they tell the story, completely misturns it. So I think Draymond Green is starting it. I think more guys are going to do it. I mean, you listen to some podcasts; they're amazing. I just can't believe Draymond's still doing it during the playoffs. But
during the playoffs is I don't know. Like I said, he could have one Freudian slip and give someone, the opposing team, bulletin board material for that entire series. Not to say that he would do that, but anything happens, hot mic. Let's segue real quickly. And Danny, Todd, and myself and a few others have been having this discussion. We've been saying NHL Game 7 playoffs was better than the NBA Game 7 playoffs. You agree or you disagree?
Well, the NHL playoffs are just better anyway. It's a better product. It's more intense. It's more exciting. And I was saying earlier, now, look, full disclosure, I'm a hockey guy. All right. So, put that out there. But I love basketball too. But I mean, if the Knicks aren't in the playoffs, I'm not even paying attention to the NBA playoffs until the conference finals.
Okay.
What's the point for me? But here I am last night watching Calgary, I'm watching Calgary, Dallas. And, and I'm the kind of, I'll watch Calgary, Dallas regular season in November. I'm just a hockey nut that way. But, I mean, they've just got they've just got a better product. And it's okay. It's not anybody's fault. It's not, I'm not trying to drag the NBA or anything. I love the NBA. I love basketball. I love the playoffs. But when I want to sit down with my popcorn and my beer and really see some excitement, it's the NHL. And you had 4 Game 7s.
It's 5
over the weekend. It's crazy. So my vote is always NHL playoffs, no matter what.
Todd, you want to give us a quick review of the upcoming series with the Canes and Rangers?
Well, I'm also, full disclosure, I'm a Rangers fan, living here in Raleigh, so in Canes country. I actually like the Canes. I think they're the best team in the East. They're built in the image of their coach, Rod Brindamore. I mean, they play hard. They have a tough forecheck. They're physical. They can score. They have skill. They're almost a perfect team. They've got good goaltending. Freddie Anderson, their number 1 guy, was out for the first round, but I'm hearing he might be back. They were playing Antti Ranta, who was there's another thing to watch in this series, lots of former Rangers on this Canes team. So that's going to be a storyline. I think the way they forecheck, the way they stack the defensive blue line is going to be difficult for the way the Rangers like to play. They like to move through the neutral zone with speed, move the puck, and that high pressure that the Canes play, I think, is going to give them fits, as you saw in the regular season. I think they went. I think the Canes won 3 of the 4 games, and the one that the Rangers won, they were outshot like 50-12 or something like that. Just Shesterkin stood on his. No, I think it was Georgiev, their number 2 goalie, stood on his head. So. As much as I want to see the Rangers win, being a reasonable hockey guy, I'm going to go Canes in 6. I think they're just too good. I will say the team that wins this series, I think, comes out of the East to go to the finals.
Gotcha.
One last thing, though. One last thing.
Go ahead.
Watch, outside of the Hurricanes and Rangers, watch that Edmonton-Calgary series.
I was going to get to that. I wanted to give a big shout out to Fireman Rich, our guy, Richard Roberts, who's here on Twitch, always going live early in the morning. Great broadcaster. You can also, the real reason I've been a fan of Fireman Rich is because he's by trade an audio broadcaster, retired military vet. The best of the best. Todd, you would love him. Danny, you would enjoy him too. Great content. So you were talking about Edmonton, the Oilers and the Flames, probably going to be the best series of this upcoming series, correct?
I think so. I mean, those, think of the great rivalries in sports. It's, to me, it's the Yankees, Red Sox of hockey. They're both in the same province in Canada. They've had a rivalry for years and years and years, going back however long. You've got the best player in the world in Edmonton and McKinnon. Calgary's had a great season. When I just kind of remove emotion from it, that's the series I want to watch. It's going to be some fun hockey. So if you get a chance to check any of that series out, put that on your list.
Hey, what about the Battle of Florida? You got
The two-time champions against the team with the best record in the NHL.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and call Florida a paper tiger.
Oh, okay.
Look, great regular season. Their game is all about their offense. And as you get deep into the playoffs, those goals start to be hard to come by. And I think that they're going to, first of all, they got to get through Tampa, who's two-time defending champions. Those guys know how to play playoff hockey. They're gonna play a really tight game, and the key is going to be whether or not Florida can score goals. They did it in the regular season. Can they do it now in the playoffs when it gets harder to do and it really counts? I don't think so. So I'm going. I've got a animal giving me trouble here.
There's a panther.
Excuse me. Yeah, a panther, literally. One of my little black cats. But yeah, I'm going with the Lightning in that series. But I don't think that Florida can beat, even if they do win, I don't think they can beat the Rangers or the Canes in the 7-game series. I think it's just going to get too hard for them to score goals, and that's all they got really.
And
it's high-powered offense.
Finally, the Colorado Avalanche against the St. Louis Blues.
The Avalanche are probably going to be favored in that series for good reason. I think St. Louis. I don't know if I want to say they've overachieved to this point, but I'm gonna go Colorado in that series. I think we're gonna see Colorado Edmonton in the West Finals, and I think we're gonna see Tampa Carolina in the East. And if you're gonna put me on the spot, I'm gonna say Carolina Edmonton, a repeat of 2006.
Gotcha.
I already like that, Ted. I already like that already.
Well, I tell you this much, Todd, just so that you know that when we do meet up in next month, the winner of the Rangers and Canes will be receiving a 12-pack of your favorite IPA. And
well, that's your first problem in IPA. But I digress. So who bet on who?
Of course, I kept it New York, and of course, this other guy kept it Canes.
Listen. If the one thing about the Rangers is that the Rangers have the goal, they have the Hart Trophy candidate. I forgot the last name of the goalkeeper in New York. But the one thing with the Rangers we learned in the last series with the Penguins is that if they get down in the series, they somehow find ways to win. Now, mind you, it had to take an injury to Sidney Crosby for it to happen. But like the NBA playoffs, an injury can change everything. I love the Canes in the series against the Rangers. I worry about Tampa in the conference finals because Tampa is so experienced. And that's the one thing I worry about with the Colorado and St. Louis series because the Blues were just the Stanley Cup champions a couple of years ago. A lot of those guys, Ryan O'Reilly and Tarasenko, they're still on that same roster. Colorado's a team that, like to Todd's point, Nathan McKinnon, Kadiri, Landeskog, they have guys who can score and get up and down. The NBA comparison, this could be a series that has a lot of goals in this series. But really, goalkeeping is going to be the difference in that series. And I prefer St. Louis's goalkeeping more than Colorado's. To Todd's point, Edmonton and Calgary is going to be fun. You know, I think, Todd, if I'm correct, the first time since, 85, 86, we've had the Battle of Alberta. It's been like almost 30 years.
It's been a long time. I can't remember the last time they played a playoff series.
I want to say Messier was going against the Suter brothers and everybody else in Calgary, Theo Fleury and those boys back in the 80s.
That's a huge rivalry too. It
is.
It really is.
The only difference in this series is that Edmonton has so many number one picks and so much firepower. But when you look at the Calgary roster, it's kind of hard to name people outside of Gaudreau in that offense or even on the blue line. It's a bunch of hard-nosed, blue-collar guys that just stick together and play really, really good hockey. And it was a Game 7. They literally threw everything at the Dallas goalkeeper. In that game, that was it 65 saves he had in the game on 68 shots. Yeah. You know, they threw everything in the kitchen sink, and it just happened to have Gaudreau get that one in overtime. I love I like the underdog of this series. I love the Flames in this series. They're the underdog. Connor McDavid might be the best player in the world to Todd's point, but it's just about the underdog in this. It's just something about the underdog in the Flames. It's like that. It's like a Disney story. The Flames weren't supposed to be here, and now look at them.
Well, I mean, the Flames. Yeah, I mean, I get that. I think as the season went on, it got pretty clear that they were for real. But to your point, they play the brand of hockey that wins in the playoffs. So, you know, if you're going to tell me that they beat Edmonton, you know, I'm not gonna be shocked at all. I don't think it'll happen.
It's physical. It's going to be physical.
It's going to be a fun, tough, physical series.
I just wonder how physical, Todd, you watch more of the NHL than I do. Is Edmonton up for the physicality that Calgary is going to bring starting? I think game 1 for them is what, Thursday? I want to say
I'm not sure when it starts. But yeah, I mean, I think so. This is one of those situations where you got to kind of throw the records out the window and all of that stuff. Truth be told, I don't know what is going to happen with this series because literally anything can. The rivalry's that intense. So I don't know what I'm picking Edmonton.
Shouldn't be shocked either way.
But I mean, let's put it this way: if I had hard-earned money to bet, it wouldn't be bet in that series because I don't know which way that's going to go.
You bet on the Canes. That's where the money goes.
I would bet on the Canes to win. Like if I'm looking for the bet to make, that's where I would go. I think the Canes are the clear favorite. Now they do have the best goalie in the league, or among the best goalies in the league. They have a former last year's Norris Trophy winner in Adam Fox. Shesterkin is up for both the Vezina and the Hart Trophy this year. And he can steal you a game. And if they can come down here, by the way, I understand that the Canes are preventing out-of-towners from buying tickets.
Of course. Don't come around here.
That's an old trick.
Yeah, they're trying not to let people in the building. But what they don't realize is that so I go to every Rangers Canes game here.
So that means you're going for games 1 and 2.
That place is full of Rangers fans in the regular, like, because we all live here. So I don't know how they're going to prevent Rangers fans from getting in that building, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
Now, Ted, you mentioned a question earlier. You asked the hockey guy the question about who has the better Game 7. So from the basketball guy's perspective,
okay,
I have said this, and I think, Ted, I said it on your show before. I've said it on my radio show, and I've been saying this for years. The NHL playoffs, the Stanley Cup playoffs, is the best form of playoffs in sports. It is what it is. The NFL
sports, yes.
It's better than the NFL playoffs, definitely better than the NBA, better than baseball.
Best playoffs in sports.
Yep. I mean, it's almost the only thing comes close to it will be World Cup elimination soccer once we get to the knockout round. The round of 16 going forward, knockout rounds. That's the only thing that comes close to the NHL playoffs. The reason why is what we saw on Saturday and Sunday. When you're watching Game 7 and you're seeing everybody throw everything at the table, if you watched the Rangers Game 7 last night, what did they do in overtime? They called a timeout on the power play to draw up a play.
Yep.
And not only that, but they said basically what they were told in the timeout, that first power play unit, Gerard Gallant, their coach, basically told them, okay, look, y'all are staying out there. That first unit, you're staying out there the whole 2 minutes. And we win the game here or not. And that was pretty much that.
But in those 4 of those 5 overtime, 4 of those 5 game 7s, 2 of those games are overtime. We got the Rangers game went to overtime,
right,
and then the Flames game went to overtime last night. Toronto and Tampa went down to literally the final seconds. Toronto threw everything in the kitchen sink at Vasilevsky at the end. They couldn't get it done. Carolina and Boston was physical all throughout the entire game. It was entertaining from start to finish. And really, the Kings were in it up until the last 3 minutes when McDavid scored the goal to make it 2-0. But that's entertainment value. There is no blowouts in Game 7. The NBA had what? If you go back to the first round, we had what? I think we had a Game 7 in the first round that really wasn't all that Game 7-ish. Last night in the NBA was a Boston blew out Milwaukee, and then the Phoenix G League team showed up for that game last night against Dallas. So Game 7 hockey, there's nothing better than watching fans with the towels, the energy. I saw videos of fans in Madison Square Garden last night just showing right before they scored the goal. Before I can't pronounce the last name, scored the goal. You felt it. I'm watching my phone. I feel it. That wasn't even the building.
Right.
You can feel electricity, the red outs. It's just different. Hockey is different. Too bad it took the NHL 15 years to get off of NBC and back on ESPN where people will pay attention to it again. That's the part that sucks.
Well, duly noted. Hey, I just want to be mindful of your time. I do have 3 topics. It's really 2 topics and 1 generic question. Last week was the NFL schedule release show. Has it jumped the shark for you? Because you have a 3-hour schedule release show, but the leading up to that specific show for the previous week, games were being leaked. So I guess my question is, why can't they just release the damn schedule and just get on with it?
I guess you're giving the social media teams another week to get the schedule, their videos done correctly and filmed. Listen, it's the most annoying thing ever for me. Like, we had the first game released during the NFL draft, the first Amazon game, great. Then we had to wait 2 days to find out who's playing in overseas, 3 days from watching who Fox considers a premium 4:00 game. I really don't, Ted, your point, just get the damn schedule out. But I will say this. For those who don't have social media, if you follow the NFL team accounts when the schedules are released, the videos are way more entertaining than that 3-hour show anyway. What they can do is take all the social media videos and post them as the NFL schedule release show. Just do it. It's much more entertaining than me sitting down watching Booger McFarland talk about Titans versus Bengals in week 7 at 1:00. I really don't care about how important that game is in week 7, and we hadn't even got the preseason yet.
It's true. It's true. Todd, your take on that, or do you have a take?
NFL, I don't care. Next question. That's all I've got.
I guess as a follow-up question, the only game this year, well, there were 2 games this year I wanted to go watch, and they weren't in MetLife. It wasn't the Giants or Jets I wanted to go see. Initially, I wanted to go see Broncos Ravens because MMT Stadium, really not a bad seat in the house. But as a follow-up, since that's going to be in December, the other game potentially I will go see is Buffalo Bills at Ravens. 1:00. It's an October game, a non-flex week, so that you know what you're going to get into. It's not like you get there at the stadium and they're like, oh, hey, we flexed it until 8:20 at night. That's happened to me before. I guess we'll go into the last main topic is, and I don't know if you guys, everyone, well, I love baseball. Todd, you're a Met. Well, we're all Met fans. And for the most part, it might be our second or third favorite sport. For me, my first favorite sport. Peacock Sunday Leadoff. I like it. I like early morning baseball. It's 11:30 in the morning. The game is on. It's exclusive. No other games are being able to be played during that time. The only thing I can see as it really being a pain in the ass is for some people, they might not have access to Peacock because those games are behind a paywall.
Well, they're doing a similar thing with Amazon.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
Yeah.
with the Yankees.
Yeah. I've heard some people say that, and I don't know how true this is, but I've heard some people say that they, if the game is on Amazon, it gets blacked out, and they can't watch it in their local market,
which is
crazy. They have
Amazon.
I don't know if that's true or not.
Which is totally crazy. Just we're noticing that up here with the Yankees.
Oh,
so
okay.
Of the 21 games that they're airing, they're blocked out on your local over the air channel.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, for me, there's a lot of talk about baseball and the older fan base.
57 years.
Yeah. And, being 50 myself, I mean, I guess.
Me too.
All right. But, yeah, I think that's a problem. And I think baseball, and I understand why they're doing what they're doing.
For money.
Yeah, and
greedy.
Okay. I never begrudge anybody making $1, but I think I wonder if they're alienating that older fan base when they do that.
Well, they just want the younger fan base. They want to be like Apple and just say, hey, you can watch your phone. I think Apple TV, Friday Night Baseball, I think it's free this season.
But I don't see any evidence that younger people are going to watch just because that's the thing.
Right.
I think with Peacock, I think the idea of it is, Ted and I have talked about this off air before. The first week was on NBC. They had they simulcast the first game. I think it was Red Sox and the White Sox.
Right.
And so to your point, I like the idea, but listen, that baseball alone is not enough for me to subscribe to Peacock.
Right.
The reason why I subscribe to Peacock is the fact that I'm a fan of the WWE. All right. And we wanted to watch, my wife I wanted to watch Bel-Air. So we had to have Peacock in order to do that. So I think baseball is the one sport that you cannot put behind a paywall because like the NHL, you need to draw fans. You need to get, if your fan base is 57, Peacock is the last thing you need to keep that existing fan base together. I get you're trying to do the younger fan base, but listen, the NFL has done the smartest thing when it comes to younger fan base. They're putting games on Nickelodeon. There's another Nickelodeon game this time in the regular season.
In the regular season.
They're putting it on Nickelodeon and doing a full-fledged Nickelodeon broadcast, which makes Nate Burleson be a star once again.
Yep.
Baseball needs to be put baseball on Cartoon Network. Put baseball on Cartoon Network on a Saturday afternoon and get some of the Cartoon Network characters involved in it. Do the baseball bunch with the characters and have players do it.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And get you're trying to get that younger demographic. Listen, 18 to 29 is not going to care about baseball. All right. You have to get them on social media. You have to get them on TikTok and Instagram. You have to get their attention that way. But for the kids, which is the next generation of baseball fans, which is if you go play anywhere, you don't see a lot of American kids playing baseball because it's dying out.
Right.
What do? You have to draw younger fans in. I'm saying, listen, I am all for watching baseball on Saturday, and I see the Teen Titans Go characters on there with Batman and Robin and Cyborg and all of them, and talking about baseball, and breaking the game down more than me sitting there on Sunday morning watching it on Peacock, even though Andrew Jones and Sweeney yesterday were pretty fucking enjoyable yesterday watching.
They were.
But you need to be able to draw that younger fan base in. You got to be creative. Like to Todd's point, people who are above the age of 50, they're not going to go, oh, I'm going to go find Peacock. That doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. It needs to be, for the older generation, needs to be over the air. For the younger generation, you need to go find the outlets that people are going to want to watch it on. Nobody but the NFL's got it right. And that's sad because hockey could use it and baseball can use it. Basketball will be just fine. Basketball doesn't need Nickelodeon. Basketball, they mastered social media. They're
right.
Okay.
Agreed. I don't know. I'll just leave it at you got to get younger, period. You know who also does it well? MMA does it well. They've got a nice, young, spry fan base. And that's UFC, that's ONE FC, that's Bellator. They do it the absolute best because their product is made for mobile. Because you really got to sit back and look at some of these sports and say, which of these sports are made for mobile? Can you really sit there? I mean, Danny, you've done it before. Can you sit there and watch a whole basketball game on your mobile phone?
I sure, except for the WNBA, I sure can, because WNBA still ain't got it right on the mobile side.
Todd, could you sit here and watch a whole hockey game on your mobile phone?
I've done it. I'm a diehard fan, so
right.
Yeah. But would I watch a baseball or a basketball game on my phone? Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah. I think the funny thing about being where we are, where you and I are age-wise, in our generation,
right,
kind of that Gen X crowd, is that we actually did grow up with technology.
Yes.
So I mean, we had some technology, so it's not a foreign concept for us to decide, yeah, I'm going to watch this game on my phone. I know how to do it. I have a phone. I know where to go. But, once you start, I think we're about the top of that. So
we are about the top of that.
Yeah.
If you ask someone 10 years older than us to do that, they might be like, that's a push.
Yeah. So, but the more we can, the way I look at it, thinking of it in hockey terms, the more eyes you can get on it,
yes,
through whatever means, I'm all for it.
Right.
So however they want to market it and where they want to put it. The only thing with, like I said, with baseball that concerns me is that you have the older fan base to begin with.
Right.
And I worry that they're being alienated a little bit.
They're being alienated because they used to be able to turn to a specific channel and they knew their favorite team was going to be at 1:00 or at 7:00.
Yep.
Now you're telling me, okay, it's spread across 3 streaming services,
right,
and I'm blacked out.
It's too much. Yeah.
I mean, don't forget the regional sports networks that like Bally's that don't even have half the games because the app doesn't work 90% of the time. It's. I remember the days my grandparents say, "Listen, we're watching the Mets on the Mets on PIX, or the WWOR, the Yankees on PIX.
Yeah.
You have the Yankees on PIX, and then you have the Braves on TBS before it went Superstation.
Yes.
Baseball needs to continue that. We need to have local partners. That's how baseball is going to work. The NFL doesn't need local partners because they're everywhere. Basketball, they're everywhere. The NHL, I think the NHL is getting back in the game because not only is ESPN involved, but to see what Turner has done with their hockey coverage.
Yes.
Turner has done more for hockey than they've done for baseball. Like their whole thing with the Stanley, they've done a great job with the Stanley Cup playoffs in their first year. They've done more in 1 year than I think NBC Sports Network has done in all the years they had it.
Agreed. And I was marveling the other night. I think it might have been last night because TBS had a Game 7 NHL and TNT had NBA Game 7. And I said, you know what? Screw ESPN. There you go. Give them some competition. I mean, they're really not giving them competition because they're in a totally different league. But the fact of the matter is that's the closest thing out there to competition, not named Fox Sports. Last item, because we're up against the end of the show. I want to say upcoming StarCast. Ric Flair versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat in a tag match. Ric Flair is 72 years old. What in the world is going on? What's causing all of this?
So
I think the tax man, maybe.
They're not going to play the replay of Starrcade '86. Is that what they're not doing? I'm confused. Listen, Rick is. I don't know if Rick is broke or Rick is lonely. Rick has got something going on because this man's about to get in the ring with a pacemaker. All right, he's got a pacemaker in his chest right now. Triple H left wrestling because he has a pacemaker. And he is 25 years younger?
He's probably about our age, right? Ted?
Yeah.
He's
Hunter's about Todd and my age.
Yeah.
Okay, because I know Hunter was fit. I thought he was in his mid 40s. But
somewhere comparable.
Okay. Yeah. But the point is, you're still 25 years younger than Ric Flair, who is going to in the ring at 73. Okay, you know what? Maybe he goes in the ring and goes the full NWO, the finger poke of death. He takes one finger poke to the eye, falls down, and gets pinned.
I kind of don't see Ric Flair doing that. I don't know. I think in his mind he wants to get in there and do it.
Ted,
so,
is the love of the sport for him?
I think he probably also needs the money.
He needs the money.
And the last I heard, the Dragon wasn't in the greatest of health himself.
I mean, my goodness.
I'm scared. I'm scared, but I'm intrigued to watch it. I'm scared because somebody.
Who were their partners?
I don't know.
Devin and Beverly Rock and Roll Express. That's all I'm asking for.
I think I heard. Yeah, I think I heard that. Yeah,
because they're still the Rock and Roll Express are still wrestling. I think at 212 years old apiece.
Ricky Morton.
Ricky Morton is still out there in the Indies.
Yeah, he's out there in GCW land, showing up. 65, I think he is wrestling. I mean, working on 20-minute matches.
There was a guy. I think he is some sort of blogger or broadcaster or something who's launching a campaign to keep Ric Flair out of the ring.
That's true love. That's true love right there.
So I don't know. He's saying that nobody should sanction him to get in the ring and all that. So I don't know. Maybe stay tuned for that. But
Jim Crockett. Crockett's involved in it, so I'm sure Crockett's going to let that fly. Crockett and Jim Cornette, and then they're going to pass him so he can do it. I wonder how many people are going to go to Nashville because I think it's the day after SummerSlam. I think it is. Ted, if I'm right, it's the day after SummerSlam.
I believe so.
Yeah, it's SummerSlam weekend in Nashville.
Yes.
I mean, and the thing is, I think it's a smart thing to do for the promoter because you're going to have all those wrestling fans in Nashville anyway. Because SummerSlam,
if you think about what these indies do, when one of the big four, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, Survivor Series, all the indie promotions head down to those areas.
Yeah, GCW is always where they're doing an event.
Yes.
And stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and Ted, speaking of that, I mean, we all I think have a little bit of wrestling background. So, Ted, how do you feel about Money in the Bank being the 5th major premium live event now? Because we're now going to stadiums for Money in the Bank now.
We're now going to stadiums. I'm okay with it. It's I guess the fact that now with the rules being changed and that no longer that you can cash in, the Money in the Bank winners can now cash in. They now immediately what is it? They're
WrestleMania.
They go straight to WrestleMania.
Oh, so they don't have it anymore where you can like just pop up.
No, they took it away.
You're like, he just had a match.
Yeah,
I want in.
Yeah, they took the best part about Money in the Bank away is the cash in.
Yeah.
At any point in time when a champion has the brakes beat off of them sitting in the ring on a Monday Night Raw in the middle.
Why would they take that away? That's the best thing about it.
It's Vince McMahon. Why else? Because they got to think they have to sell tickets because they're putting Money in the Bank inside of the Darth Vader Stadium in Vegas.
Well, this is why I don't watch WWE anymore, I guess. But
it's at Darth Vader Stadium, so they got to sell Darth Vader Stadium somehow. But I mean, it's also going to be the home of WrestleMania. Was it in 24? I think Vegas is getting WrestleMania in 24.
Oh, okay. Because it's Hollywood next year, right?
Hollywood is it's Hollywood, and then because Vegas has already hosted the Royal Rumble. No, they hosted SummerSlam, Money in the Bank. I think WrestleMania is on deck.
They had a WrestleMania back in Caesar's Palace a long time ago.
Yep, wasn't that the double Hogan match? No, Hogan came out the crowd, didn't he?
I don't know. I know. Yeah. What was the dude?
The giant El Gigante.
Yeah, El Gigante or something like that was in that one.
And no, was that when Luger beat Yokozuna? When Luger showed up and body slammed Yokozuna?
I don't know. I remember the match with El Gigante or whoever it was.
Well, Ted, I'm gonna use my Peacock subscription and go find it now.
But it was at Caesar's Palace and Mr. Perfect was there. I remember Mr. Perfect too.
Perfect. You gotta love Perfect.
Yeah.
One last note on WWE. I think they did their quarterly call. They are, between the money they're pulling in from Fox, the money they're pulling in from NBC, and the money that they're pulling in from NBC for the library, $650 million a year. They are not hurting for cash.
So you know what that means? Ted, you already know what that means, right? They're about to cut wrestlers again.
No, that's what they're pulling in.
Ted, you said Ted, every time they had a quarter meeting and they're up in profit, wrestlers seem to go out the door right afterwards.
Yeah, because it makes the revenue bigger.
Yes. But
once you get
the revenue bigger,
that money off the books, now your revenue looks bigger.
Right. But the question is, do you foresee them ever selling?
I think so.
I do too.
Because Triple H's health is in bad shape. He's not going to sell it to Shane, and I don't think Stephanie wants to run the family business. I think she, at some point, wants to. She's barely on TV anymore, and Trips can't run it. So who is he going to sell it to now?
Saudis.
The Saudis.
So now Saudi Arabia is going to own the WWE and golf. Got you.
They can have it.
They can have it.
They can have WWE done. I was done with them 20 years ago. Bye.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to wrap this up. Todd, what's the best ways we can get in contact with you or find you or listen or hear your commentary?
If you're anyone out there interested in craft beer, check out my Instagram page. It's called Life's Poor Decisions. It's on Instagram and Facebook as well. And I pretty much sample beers, go to breweries, and post a bit about my favorite beers and the people that make them. So check that out.
All right. And Danny, best ways we can get in contact with you?
Follow me on Twitter at Danny #3, that's DANNY #3 Thompson on Twitter. My show, which is Sports Insight 757 with Jay Lee, Saturdays 9 to 11 a.m. on Sports Radio 850, 96.5 FM up here in Norfolk, Virginia. Or if you want, download the Sports Radio 850 app on every single app store you can find, Google, Apple. And I'm always around everywhere you need to find me.
Oh, look at this. There we go.
That's the omen of the Ranger season, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
A black cat crossing the. There we go.
Sorry, Ted. That's all.
That's it. That's it. All right, guys, we're out. Thanks again.
All right, thanks.